The Chicago White Sox, the new glorious tank embracers that roll out a half-assed rotation and an underdeveloped lineup. I have them being the worst team in baseball this year, and here's why. When we look at the lineup, I see a pretty good 1 through 3, at least on paper. We'll see how it does in real life, but Yoan Moncada, Avisail Garcia, and Jose Abreu, I see them being the biggest form of production, at least in the lineup this year. Wellington Castillo should be a pretty solid addition also, but I mean, we'll see how big of an impact he really does, considering that he's going to US Cellular Field. Although he does have pretty good power and he'll get home runs in US Cellular, or Guaranteed Rate Field is what it's called now, I still question his fit a bit. And when it comes to Yoan Moncada's case, although I don't see him getting very many hits just because contact hitting right-handers or contact hitting left-handers, mind you, don't fare very well in terms of Guaranteed Rate Field. Now, in terms of getting triples and home runs, you can do that pretty well in that stadium, but not really singles and doubles going into right field. And Avisail Garcia and Jose Abreu both are good fits. Jose Abreu is currently listed as questionable for opening day, but he should be good to go and play for a long time this season. Hopefully at least 150 games out of Jose Abreu should happen, unless he gets injured for a bit. But another thing that I would say is that Avisail Garcia is a piece that could be traded if they still struggle a bit, and maybe even Jose Abreu, because he's going to be a free agent after next season, I believe, either this season or next season. But you could get good value out of either one of them, considering that their production is going to be good in Guaranteed Rate Field, given that they're right-handed bats and they have pretty good power. And so the lineup is not great, although it does have a few good players here and there. Still not very good, so I give it a C grade. And so now in terms of the bench, or the depth, I don't really see many standouts there. There are some prospects that could come up this year per se, like one Eloy Jimenez could come up in the middle of 2018, and otherwise there's just other guys that are there for depth: Jose Rondon and Charlie Tilson, and Patrick Leonard, Casey Gillespie, Kevin Smith, a guy that had a lot of games played in last year for the White Sox. So Wellington Castillo's a definite upgrade over Kevin Smith. So otherwise, not much to go about there in terms of their depth when it comes to the White Sox. So I'm giving them a D+ grade. And now when it comes to the rotation, there's really not much here. There really isn't. Lucas Giolito is the only guy that I think will be successful, considering that he's a ground ball pitcher in a fly ball park. So I think that he'll be the only one that's really good. James Shields at this point, he's past his prime, and other guys, Ronaldo Lopez, he's a fly ball pitcher, so I don't really like his fit. So I'm going to have to see how the young starters are going to develop. And in terms of guys that could come up that are currently in the minors, the one guy that has the 2018 MLB ETA is Michael Kopech. So we'll see how he does if he comes up this year. Seems like he could be a pretty good fit, but we'll see how it goes for him. And otherwise, not much to go about with their rotation. So I'm giving it a C-, because it's not the worst in the MLB, at least not from what I remember. Yeah, it's not the worst in the MLB, now that I think about it. And so now when it comes to their bullpen, they made some pretty good acquisitions. Joakim Soria, Luis Avilan, Xavier Cedeno, and Hector Santiago. I mean, those are their acquisitions, but Hector Santiago is meh. Cedeno should be a pretty good addition to the bullpen. Luis Avilan also, and Joakim Soria, and then there's Nate Jones still. And so there's also Gregory Infante, who is projected to be out for shoulder inflammation for opening day. And another guy that I failed to mention as part of the White Sox rotation, Carlos Rodon, is not expected to be ready for the start of the 2018 season, So he could be in the rotation, projected to be pretty good, at least according to RogerResource.com. And in terms of the bullpen, it's still not that good to me. It's still not that good. I mean, you added some pretty solid pieces, I guess, but it's not great per se. It is better than some other bullpens in the MLB, but you know, it's still it's okay. It's okay. So I give it a C grade. And in terms of their roster overall, not really that impressed. Just like I said, not really that impressed. I think they could switch out with the Tigers in terms of who has the record, but I looked at their schedule and I didn't predict very much from them, and I don't see this roster doing much, which means that you can sell some pieces, and you should sell some pieces off at the deadline if you still suck. So the end result here, this team faces a good amount of challenging teams that will hinder their amount of wins. Their interleague matchups get somewhat easier, but they still have to face the Cubs as usual, the Brewers, and the Cardinals to go along with it. The Pirates and the Reds are both better teams as well, albeit not much better, but still better, and then you still have to face teams like the Twins, the Indians, the A's, the Mariners, the Angels, the Astros, and every other AL team, good or bad. So I see the White Sox only winning 57 games this year, similar to those 100 lost Astros teams that had some players, but not a well put together squad, which means that you're going to have to sell at the deadline, as mentioned earlier. And I mean, there are some players that you could give up, but you're going to have to see how it'll go. Jose Abreu is with 2 years of team control left, so you could probably get some decent value out of him right now. And I mean, the only problem is that there aren't that many teams that might be looking for Jose Abreu as a necessary acquisition for the ones that are contenders. I mean, there might be. There always is one team that could probably take them. But it's just a whole wait and see thing. If you're better, then you probably don't have to sell off. But the only things I see worth watching this year are the development of the young players, in which I have questions about every other starter outside of Lucas Giolito, and their fit in guaranteed rate field. So in short, have fun in the basement again this year. Now with the over-under from Fangraphs, it's 66 and 96. My final prediction, as mentioned earlier a bit, 57 and 105, and 5th in the AL Central. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know why I'm sleeping on the young talent that this team possesses. It is a prediction video, so if you do have some rationale, I'll probably listen to it. If you don't, I'm probably not going to listen to it, and I'll probably reply with something, something not serious. And when it comes to this White Sox team, we'll see how it happens. If you don't agree, then just make sure to leave a comment and we can discuss. That is what predictions are all about. And otherwise, that is it for the White Sox, and we'll see.